What's up, guys? It's Naveed here. Right here we got.
Kingdom slash Tyson Agua.
What a lad. This right here is my mixing engineer. Today we're going to be doing a breakdown of my song King of Nothing. All right, but we're putting a little twist on it. All right, we're gonna take a shot. So basically, we have some questions written out for each other, and we're just gonna take a shot before each question we do. All right. So let's pour her up.
I was I was supposed to grab tequila, but I grabbed a bottle called soju instead.
Oh, I love soju. That's fine. That's fine. That's cool with me. I got some Devil's Reserve right here.
Lit.
Cheers, dog. Don't tell me the fireball shot was just that grab in the closet.
It is.
This is this is what music does to people, guys.
I have fucking reloads on these fucking things. All right. First question. I guess I'll go first. What originally sparked the idea of King of Nothing?
All right, so I kind of just started with a drum loop, and then I started playing that bass, and then kind of started piecing together the whole song. And the way that we did this was I wrote the lyrics, I did everything, and then David just like sang and we tracked it together. And I think that, like, the idea of the lyrics is like just feeling like you're literally like a king of nothing, like nothing is working out in your life, just every opportunity slips through your fingers, and like just like maybe on the outside it looks like you're doing good, but like inside and personally you just kind of feel like nothing's working out, and you just like always feel like it just slips through your fingertips all the times. And I think that's a feeling a lot of people can relate with. And yeah, that was kind of like where the lyrics came from. And I love the combination of like happy music with like sad lyrics, you know. And that was kind of where that all came from. But yeah, just kind of that feeling of nothing working out, and you just, you know, feel like a king of nothing, bro.
King of Nothing, the burger, the cross out burger. That's
Dude, you know what's
legendary.
crazy? I didn't know about the Burger King incident, the plain Burger King incident, and I posted this on my story. I posted a picture of me with the Burger King hat on,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "Get him off the plane!" And I was and I was like, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?" And then I went home, and someone was like, "What are you doing with the Burger King hat?" And and they're like, "Do you not know about the plane guy?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And then someone showed me the video, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is criminal."
This is great. It's great promotion.
Yeah, yeah. All
All
right,
right.
cool, dude. That's first question down.
Amazing.
Did that answer your question?
That did. I already took my shot.
You already took your shot?
Yeah.
You didn't
I
cheers
forgot.
me?
I forgot, bro.
What the hell, bro?
There's no respect anymore.
No respect.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about bass processing, what you did, etc. Before we get into it, I want to play my bass.
Yeah, so for the bass, I actually haven't ran through this project in a while, so there could be some very unforgiving things on this fucking bass, but we're just gonna go with with things that kind of, obviously like made it what it is after the fact. So using a oxide tape recorder. So what this does essentially is just it's more for the tone and saturation. And if I just like take off all those things, there you go. It's like hitting it just a little bit above zero for that saturation, that warmth that everyone loves and enjoys. But also adds quite a lot of bottom end, like those sub low range lows that are also what I like too. So this kind of
Hmm.
really helped it like open up essentially in those that bottom end. And I'll A and B it just so you guys can hear. So especially on like the when he does like the octave up, I guess would you call it like slapping?
Yeah, kind of like a. I think what I actually did was just kind of. It was just kind of like a pluck, but it has a very slappy feel.
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, when he does those, it adds another like level of weight to it. And then I have R bass. So I'm actually like not really an avid user of Waves, just because I don't really like think a lot of their plugins are like crazy good. Subjective as fuck. Okay, get mad at me all you want. But I did use R bass in this case, and this was also for the low end saturation and also to boost the low end a little bit more. And this just transforms the sound to like a whole other level.
Yeah.
And then I have some EQ after the fact, kind of like a almost like a Pultec EQ type deal. Not necessarily. It's obviously digital as fuck, but you know, there's quite some boosting and attenuation happening here, more outside the comfort level that I usually do. But yeah, so obviously making that bottom end stick out even more, but also kind of getting rid of like the upper harmonics that all the stuff prior to the EQ kind of developed. This is something I don't also normally do. I don't ever put Soothe 2 on bass, and the reason because there is a lot of saturation and harmonic buildup in the low end. It's partially because it's Naveed's fault, but
It's okay, bro. Flame me.
so anyway, this is getting rid of, I think, the second harmonic on the bass. And I think is a little too loud, especially to my ear and when I was testing on different speakers and stuff. And this is just attenuating it. And it's not the greatest way to attenuate things. Like there's other alternatives. Like you could use other dynamic processors to kind of achieve this result. But this was, I guess, my interpretation of doing this. You can just see it really clamping down on that second harmonic.
Yeah.
And I can even show you what that sounds like. Right there.
It's an ugly frequency.
That is terrible. And I'm not saying it's like absolutely detrimental to every single mix down. It was just not what I was looking for in this particular mix down.
Yeah.
And then here's where I think it gets really fucked up. So there's this plugin called Newfangled Punctuate, and I absolutely think everyone should be using this kind of plugin for like, I guess, like spectral processing. And what it does, it makes anything punchy essentially. But this is like out of whack. Like, look at this, 12 dB all the way up to like fucking like 5K. It's just silly. Like I probably could have less like bands, you know, but that makes it pop more. And you can even just see it and hear it really. So I have Pro MB. So the good thing about Pro MB is it does not have any dispersion artifacts, which you get from like band splitting. So these things are basically shaving off the frequencies on the crossover points, which is this. You could see it says low crossover. And that is because it's dynamic phase. So its dynamic phase is a lot more cleaner than linear phase and minimum phase. Don't know the science behind it. I just know it's cleaner and there isn't as much artifacts. So what I'm doing here is when he basically does like the octave up slaps, they do tend to get a little harsh. And I don't think they're harsh. This was more just to keep it consistent. And so I have it basically just sitting exactly where those pops get really loud.
Nice.
You can hear the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but this was also to partially get to keep it hidden underneath the vocal, because when this wasn't there originally with the vocal, it sounded like it was just overpowering it. And I mean, I can even play the example for you guys. I'm gonna scroll up here.
Is the dissonance a pain to hold on to? 'Cause you know
It just comes out a little bit too much, more than I'd like it to. So this is obviously just like the control freak in me, and I'm just attenuating those highs when they're getting a little too harsh. And the reason why the knee is hard as fuck, because instead of it detecting it a little earlier, it's hitting it just where the threshold is set. So I mean, you can kind of see the line there. And if I had a soft knee, in more an extreme example, it's going to detect it earlier on. And that's just, I mean, that's just not exactly how knees work, but this is obviously how I think of it.
I feel like it also kind of makes it more percussive with a harder knee.
That too, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at anything, especially like saturators, like you have like soft sine or like soft clipping, it's essentially just a hard
Right.
knee or a hard and soft knee.
And that's, dude, that's kind of a lot on there.
Yeah. So actually, originally when I was making the bass, I didn't want to put too much, just because like I mean you have a certain bass tone that you like, but when I started mixing the drums, I really started noticing that the low end was getting lost. So instead of just boosting it up and then it being in the way of everything else in terms of the mix, I just fucking cranked the low end on it. But this is
Nice.
a lot more than I would actually be more comfortable with. But
Hmm.
this is what I went with, and I think it was for a pretty good reason. But other people would look at it and be like, I could do this better, and I'd like to see you try.
And I think it sounds great. And I'm happy with where it ended up because
Yeah.
not that I don't like the bass tone that I had, but I definitely, I mean, I do kind of come to you with stuff hoping that you would expand on it, hoping that you would kind of take it to new territories, and you definitely did that with the bass on this
Yeah.
one. So,
I think to add on to that, I think that's what I like about you most is like you give me the creative freedom to do anything I want in terms of mixing. And even though sometimes in my head I don't think it's necessarily the best thing to do, I think it's like
mhm.
pretty good in terms of like what the end result is. And when I give you the
Yeah,
final, you only have like very few notes because I mean past a certain point, it's like I already know what you like, but also another thing is your subjective notes help me achieve that result. Like I don't know what you like all the time. So those
right,
are obviously
right.
things that boost me more towards like the perfect final result you're looking for. And I feel like some engineers are like I feel like they do the very minimal work, and sometimes that's a lot. That's great. Sometimes people
Right.
are looking for that very minimal stuff. Like I've done songs that are like I like have an EQ on there, a limiter, and like maybe some saturation. But fun thing with you is that I get to have that creative where I'm or creative freedom. Kratom. Yeah, this
Yeah.
nerd.
And
Where
I
I can
think
just do
also
whatever.
I get a better result out of it as if I were, as opposed to me being like, no, this is what I want. I think because I let you do that, I end up with a better result because I just trust you.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. And you make it easier. You're very communicative. You like
Yeah.
you send me dry and wet and of everything. So that's good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a future note for producers and engineers: please request of dry and wet and get the producer to render dry and wet. Like that's
Bare minimum.
literally.
Bare minimum.
Like, but it's a good
You
thing
hear
to
that,
have.
ladies and gents? You
Please,
hear that, ladies and gents? Trust your
please
mixing engineers.
trust
Trust your engineers.
the engineers.
Cool. Is that everything for the base that you wanted to
That is
touch on?
everything for the bass. Yes.
Right. Let's get this
Next
shot
question.
going.
Oh wait.
Hold up. Wait, don't take it yet,
Yeah.
bro.
No,
We gotta
I
fucking
wait.
cheers, dude.
There you go.
Cheers.
All right. So next question is, what inspired you to make King of Nothing?
I don't really have like a certain inspiration. Like it's I like a lot of different kinds of music, and I try to meld that into everything. But I mean, the main reason I'm making music that I'm releasing is because I'm a producer and I want to get more clients. So I'm just releasing music just as for my production resume, you know. So that's the reason why I'm releasing music. I'm not really trying to be like an artist like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I want to showcase my abilities and what I could do for an artist, and help them get their sound that they want. And yeah, that's pretty much the inspiration.
And
Damn, bro,
that's
you went ham on that answer, and I had like a 2 second answer.
but to add on to that, that is the thing is that benefits both of us, right? Because you want to build your resume, and in the process of you doing that, you reach out to me to make something, and that also builds my resume. Because I'm not gonna lie, a lot
Hmm.
of the clients that I work with and the producers, uh, they don't have their stuff out yet, and it's been like a year or two. I mean that's fine. Like take your time on music, but sometimes
Yeah,
like it sucks for me because of what I'm trying to build, with my resume, and it's good to have somebody who is like just as driven, and like also wanting to get out more. when I'm also
Yes.
trying to do the same thing, where I'm just as driven and want to get stuff out more. So it's
A
good to
hundred
work
percent.
with people who are just like-minded and trying to really build themselves, up from the ground essentially. Because you know what,
100%.
in the process of Naveed doing this, he could possibly make it big, and maybe that's not his goal, but it could help.
Yeah, I mean, my like goal with music is to just produce for artists, help them make music that they love, and then tour with the ones that I really love, that I love playing with. And like I'm sure with enough hard work and dedication, I'm sure I'll get there eventually. But yeah, it's like we're all in the same boat. It's like we're all trying to do the same thing. And it's like and the goal is to eventually have only clients that are serious about releasing music and that are serious about like really doing it. And I've worked with a lot of people who have like not been serious about releasing music, who are just kind of like willy-nilly, and just kind of like and it's like I don't want that clientele. I want the clientele that's like serious about it, that's actually doing the thing, and like consistently putting out music. Someone that's willing to get in the studio with me and hash it out. And and yeah, that's like that's kind of why I'm releasing music, is to show like I'm doing this, like this is what I can offer you. So
I
yeah.
feel there, man. All right,
Yeah.
next question.
This is a great idea. Let's talk about the drum sound, because the drums sound very different from what I gave you. So I'll play mine real quick. Yeah, very different. Very
All
different
right.
vibe.
So, okay, I think this honestly, I like this question a lot because I really love working with the drums. Like, even in terms of production, like, I usually try to go, like, as ham as I possibly can with drums. Like, programming drums is, like, my absolute favorite thing. But when, when Avid gave me this song, it's obviously, like, an alternative genre. And even though it's a loop, it's still pretty fun to work with because, I mean, you still have that. You can do whatever the fuck you want with them.
Mhm. Yeah.
And again, instead of, just kind of keeping it very plain and simple, which sounds like this. And if I play in the context of the song, it would sound like this. So you lose a lot of that punch, that character, that bottom end. And I am very much a bottom end guy. I mean, I may even come from electronic music, so it has
We're
a
gonna
lot of
clip
that.
that.
But I have this initially. So this is the EQ and dynamic EQ that I have on this drum bus, I guess. It's a low shelf for around 200 hertz. So this is not only boosting like the kick fundamentals, but it's also boosting the snare fundamental, that thump that I'm looking for. And then I have this on the kick.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm boosting at 80 hertz is I've noticed between 70 hertz and 80 hertz is like the absolute like is so great for like that mid-range, or sorry, that lower mid-range punch on kicks, on snares, sometimes snares if they're low enough like that, but like especially drums, like this just hits. So
Hmm.
not to mention there's not a lot of it in the song, like that specific frequency there isn't enough of. So if I turn this off,
Yeah, right.
now you feel the thump. So there's the thump right there, and on any speaker you listen to, like this song on, you can hear that thump. And if that wasn't there, you would lose all that bottom end energy. And this is very important about like I guess like low end processing, is making sure that the definition of your drums matter, and bottom end is very important for that, and fundamentals, making sure that the fundamental, which is like I guess the tuning of your snare or your kick, they matter. So like if it's too short of a fundamental, you can elongate it. You know, a very cool trick that I learned is if I wanted to elongate a kick, I just take this all pass filter and then I tighten that cue up. There you go. This is obviously very extreme, but this is obviously something that you can use in a future song to elongate a kick. And that also goes into perceived loudness, but that's like a later video. We don't have to describe that right now. That's a whole other thing. Punctuate again. Okay, this is again a very like great plugin that I love using. But this is just adding some definition around the kick and the snare. And you can even see it here. 0 hertz, which is actually isn't 0 hertz, but that's just where the band sits. It's anywhere between 0 and 102 hertz ish. Sub lows.
Barely.
Like you can't even hear that. Some people can at least.
It's a felt more than heard thing.
So 200 hertz, 300 hertz, 500 hertz. We're getting to like the phone territory where you can kind of hear it on the phone. 600 hertz, phone territory. Like all that is adding punch in that phone territory range. And then also like if you have fucking huge subs, it's gonna hit on subs as well. That's what that sounds like. And then I have this EQ, which is very much again like a Paul Tech style EQ, and it is just adding some definition in those lows again, basically matching it towards like the bass tone. So a lot of bottom end punchy, you know. So there's almost a sacrifice you have to make when doing stuff like this, because if I want the bass to have more sub lows, I need to kind of take it out on the kick. And that is also partially because, you know, sometimes the kick subs are just really fucking loud and overpowering the bass, or the bass subs are too loud, and then you have to reverse the effect on the drums where it's like you have to like basically boost the lows of the sub of the kick, you know. I hope that makes sense. But in this case, I'm just adding more low mid punch to the drums and then taking out those sub lows that get a little too crazy. So it's just making it super fucking punchy, and it makes it stand out in the mix entirely. Again, if I didn't have that there, it would probably sound not as great. There you go. You can hear that great. Like that low end, that body just comes right through. Like that's great.
It's the difference of people listening to the song like this and people listening to the song like.
Yeah, exactly. You want to feel it, man. You want to hear it.
Yeah.
Everything, especially on bigger sound systems. You want to feel that fucking bass, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of artists are like, I think that's where a lot of artists just like don't know like how important a mixing engineer is, like a really good mixing engineer, because it's like that could literally make or break your song, you know? It does make or break your song. Like that difference alone, just that EQ is like such a huge difference. Like you feel it. You listen to the song so differently, you know?
The thing is, you know what? I don't think, honestly, just to be plain like honest with you guys, like I don't think I'm like the absolute best engineer in the world, but there are just certain styles that certain artists reach out to. Like to an extent it is subjective, and that goes against like, okay, picking a good engineer, you know? Like if you like an engineer that likes to add a fuck ton of sub to your song, go for it, you know. They add a fuck ton of sub. That's what you're looking for, you know. But I guess what is good to have is somebody who's able to do that but improve on the song as well, because when you do add a ton of sub on a song, you do lose other qualities of the song, you know. And then, you know, sometimes if you're not mastering it right, you're pushing the fuck out of your limiter and just adding a bunch of compression, or if you have a soft clipper, it's starting to clip. So there's a whole bunch of factors. You have to be very considerate of what you're doing and what's going on in the mastering process and the mixing process, because they both correlate heavily, you know. And some people might not agree with that, but that's just kind of where I stand in terms of like mixing and mastering. And that's kind of where I've improved as well, you know. Like maybe I wouldn't do this EQ on my own song, but like it just somehow worked on Naveed's song, you know. So You'll never
Right,
ever see
right.
an EQ that's very similar to this song on any other Naveed song. It's,
Right,
no drum is the same, so
right.
it's just how it is. And lastly, to top everything off, I'm using Trash. If you don't know like Isotope Trash, this thing is like so good. Basically, like it's just a multi-band distortion. If you are splitting bands, you can see if I do want to go here, I can drag in another band. And now this one's unaffected. If I obviously have everything off, it's unaffected. But in this case, I am using it for high end, and also like some convolution and like other things. But it's just adding like that splash of, it says it right there, splash of dirt, and it's got a very low mix. So without it being too overcomplicated, I would probably, wear headphones if you're watching this part. But so it is adding it. It's so weird. Okay, so it's saturating it, but it's also getting rid of some of that top end. Like that's dampening the high end just a tiny little bit. But if I obviously make this max, that's what it sounds like. Like it just sounds splinky as fuck. So I don't obviously
Yeah,
want it to
yeah.
sound like that.
Sounds like shit.
It does, dude. But in context, like it adds that extra layer of texture that, I thought that
Yeah.
needed it. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a
When
very
it's
small
subtle.
detail. So it probably didn't need it, but I thought it needed
Yeah.
it. So that's what I have on the drums, and this extra snare layer
Is that
That's
everything then?
for the drums. Yeah,
That's
dude, that's
everything?
it. I do have some mid-side stuff.
Okay.
But this is just to narrow it down to the center of the mix instead of it being like this, and also because the kick has a lot of reverb on it, and I think whoever mixed it
Yeah.
sounded good in their context, but it did not sound good in this context at all. And then boosting it by 1 dB at the end, just to kind of hit the saturation a little bit more. This plugin and this plugin, so it's adding a bit of like, it's benefiting the master essentially when I'm boosting it, because it's like smashing my master more for that wave
Right.
shaping effect. So it's adding a bit more like character, if you will.
Yeah.
And then I have the extra snare layer, which I was just about to talk about. That's it, man. Like
Leave it be.
that's
Yeah.
it's kind of nothing crazy.
Yeah, and that's only happening every other snare, right? Or I
Exactly.
think I did that. Yeah, I did that.
It's slightly
Yeah.
panned to the left, so it's adding like that
Nice.
off, sound. I didn't do that. That was actually on your end.
Oh, I didn't send it unpanned. Oops.
No, that's fine. I didn't care. I kept it.
But yeah, no, I think that's good. I like that little separation too, because everything's too mono if it's like all hitting
No,
down the
exactly.
middle.
And to an extent, I agree to left, center, and right mixing. But it is good to branch out and try different things. Like I've tried some stuff with like serum effects and hyperdimension kind of thing. I don't know if you heard about that, but there's some cool room convolutions you can use on there and stuff that can spread out a waveform instead of like keeping it this.
100%, yeah. Something else I did do on the drums was, so when I was making this song, I had my laundry machine running, and I was literally like, I think I was recording a guitar part or something, and like I like got sidetracked a little bit, and I noticed the laundry machine, and it was going, and it wasn't like in time with the song, but it just like sounded good with it. So I just recorded it on my iPhone, and then I threw it in there. And so here's what the laundry machine sounds like by itself. And then so I put that in only in the choruses, because like the choruses is like the lyrics are a game of make believe fit for the king of nothing, and like that, and like it just has like a kind of demented feel, like that laundry machine, and I felt like that felt really good with the chorus thing. So I'll play the drums with the laundry machine, and it's like not in time, and like you probably buried it hella, but it's like slightly there. But yeah, this is together. And so there's kind of moments where it does sync up, but then there's moments where it doesn't. And at that like off kilter feeling, like kind of fits really well with the song. And it was kind of just one of those things where I was just like, or I just heard it and I was like, let me just put it in there, you know?
That's awesome. I actually
Yeah.
didn't even know that was a laundry machine.
Yeah. It's literally on my thing. I don't know what I bounced it out as because I labeled it laundry machine on here. But yeah, it's like, and then in the guitar solo section, it's going throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I didn't want it to be like super present, just more like something that's kind of like barely there, you know. But yeah,
Man,
that's the drums.
that is
That's them drums.
awesome. I did not even really notice that. That is cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm a
random
fucking
stuff.
engineer. I didn't even notice that shit. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
All right.
weird.
Okay.
I
And
think honestly, I feel like being a lightweight is an advantage. Like you don't spend as much any money on
yeah,
alcohol, and yeah, that's really the only thing
actually, you know
actually.
what? So I have some buddies who are very
Yeah.
competitive, and I don't hang out with them anymore. But they're like, "Oh, you're a
Mhm.
lightweight. Like, oh, you can't drink up and stuff like that." I'm like, you know what? I'm actually glad because I don't spend as much as you do at a fucking bar. And also, I don't need. I can have like fun if I have one cooler. One cooler
Yeah,
with me,
dude.
like I'm
Right?
like having a great time. So like, fuck you for saying that. You know, like
Yeah, they got a
it's not a
long dark
competition.
road
Yeah.
ahead of that.
Like, see that paycheck? It's
So,
gone now because you're fucking heavyweight. Would you say the guitar solo is absolutely necessary?
this is a golden question. All right, so funny enough, dude, when me and David Rice like we finished the song. So initially the song just ended after that B section. And so the initial ending was the this old man is all that's left. And then I did like a pick scrape. And then that was going to be like the end of the song. And then so me and David were tracking vocals. We probably had like 4 vocal tracking sessions. And so this was the last time like we finished the song and then this motherfucker says to me, he says, why don't we go back into that section and you throw a guitar solo in there?" And I was like, at first I was like very reluctant. At first I was like, no, bro, the song is done. Like the song is like, we're done, dude. We're so done. And then I was like, and then he was like, but aren't you like releasing this to like show off your abilities and like show your production skills and whatnot? And I was like, ah, you're right. And I was like, all right, I got to do it. I have to do it. And then I think it actually ended up being really cool because it like that B section is very like is very it's a left turn. It's like you don't expect it at all, you know? And like when that chorus ends and that bass comes in, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And the whole B section is just very like out there. And then I like it a lot because then it's like this old man is all that's left, scrape, and then you think the song is done, and then it goes into that solo. And yeah, so yes, the solo was absolutely necessary. But the way I kind of went about doing the guitar solo was I didn't want like a really good take necessarily. Like I didn't want it to be like perfect, you know. Like if you listen to it, there's like timing issues, bending issues, you know, like there's all kinds of fucked up shit in there. And it's real sloppy, you know. And I that was kind of like the vibe I wanted for it. So what I did was I did like 5 different takes. And then I just chose the one that I liked the most. So the way I thought about ending it is I just kind of like I wanted to mimic the way the choruses end because the way that I made the choruses end were with was with like the tape slowdown thing that Logic has. And here I'll play that real quick. If you're gonna make weird music, like if you're gonna make music that has different sections and stuff that's not so much like pop structured, like this is a very pop structured song, but it also has like elements of like weirder alternative stuff, you know? But like I'm a big believer in like if you're gonna do that, you gotta have things that you gotta have moments and things that are callbacks, like things that tie everything together. And so I think that kind of that like slowdown thing was kind of my idea for the ending of the solo, and I'll play the end of the solo here. and it like and it like ties into the whole like demented feeling of the song. And then this solo was, it looks like I actually did like two different takes. So what I did was like I said, I did like five different takes, chose the one I like, and then I did some like guitar mini parts. So there's like some moments where I like played a line, or I like played a motif that I played a second time, and then I wanted to like harmonize it, so I overdubbed it with like a guitar mini, and then and then and then in like the last little half of the solo, this little tap part comes in. I'll play that. That just adds to like the craziness of it, and it's played pretty sloppy too, because fuck tapping, who can do that shit. I ain't no Eddie. And then yeah, that was kind of the whole solo section. I got this, I don't even know what this is. Weird Geet. Let's play this. And so I guess it's kind of all this stuff coming in at the end of this solo, like at the climax of it, and it kind of feels like it's gonna keep going, but then it does that slow down thing and kind of pulls back. And yeah, so yeah, the guitar solo was pretty necessary.
Dude, I remember when I first got the song, and like I already know you like doing like guitar solos, and this is like
Yeah.
one of your clients specifically said like, oh yeah, finally Naveed, you get to have a guitar solo, like, so I knew you were gonna do some cool shit with this one. And I did, like, I did notice that there were issues in there, but I feel like it was also like adding to like the artistic vision that you're going for.
100%. Yeah.
Sometimes on time isn't exactly what you want, like, and I
Mhm.
get it. Like, there are times where I've played guitar or like had a song where like they're intentionally out of time, and even if it is for like the effect, or the
Mhm.
vibe of things, like,
Yeah.
not everything has to be on grid to the fucking, even sample rate, like, because I could have sat there
Man.
and tune and got it to perfect, like whatever, I could have asked Naveed like, oh, send me the dry stuff and I'll quantize it, but like that isn't what he
Mhm.
wanted, and that's why I didn't even bother. I was like, you know what, I'll fucking do it.
And there was like self-doubt that I had. Like there was like, oh man, I should go back and redo this. But
Yeah.
then I like kind of realized like, well, this song is about a king of nothing. And I want it to sound like a guy just playing his sorrows away kind of thing. And like I think that was achieved with the full take and like not going back and making things perfect.
Yeah.
And it's like I think a lot of times you have to ask yourself before you record anything, you have to ask yourself, what vision am I going for? What is the vibe I'm trying to present for this song? And then record accordingly.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
So yeah.
That's good. I like the guitar solo though. It was pretty cool.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Was it absolutely necessary?
Absolutely necessary.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, that's how that came about. That's how all that shit happened.
Fire.
All right, cool.
Okay.
We got to do this more often, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the vocal processing on the ad libs after the first chorus because they're very different from the whole entire vocal. And it's like a very specific section that stands out.
Okay. Don't know what I did. So, Oh wow. So this is actually a lot more like I guess you could say like they're very they're unorganized compared to what I usually do. So are you talking about these guys?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So there's actually a few things on here that I use, but some of the plugins do not work because I stopped paying for fucking Spark. Fuck you guys again for making it so expensive. But anyway, okay, so there's a few layers here that David did that I fucking absolutely love. Like after this breakdown section, it stops and it goes. Like that is just crazy. It's such a throwback to like early 2000 stuff. So very cool.
100%.
Okay, so on the initial thing, I think actually, you know what? It's pretty much the same between the dub and the lead. So I'll skip the dub, and then I'll go to the other ooh, which literally only has one thing. So you know what? I'm not even gonna worry about that. But that's a chorus. Okay, that's a chorus effect. Anyway, so in the first initial like ooh. Cool as fuck. Okay, but so what I started out with here was it's called Supertone Clear. Supertone Clear basically can get rid of ambience noise behind you, voice reverb and stuff like that. In extreme situations it doesn't really work that well, but in this case like it worked fucking great. So I just turned the ambience all the way down. This is what it sounds like. The ambience. It just sounds like he's got some fucking like AC in the background or something like that. And it was bothering me because you know I could hear it very much. So, like even in the song. So I turned it all the way down. Even though it's getting rid of some qualities like the high end and stuff like that, but like I mean it didn't really need that much high end anyway, so it was kind of benefiting me in the long run. I have Verve, which doesn't work because I don't pay for Spark. But anyway, it's just a tape emulation, and one of them that I used add back the high end, but in like the kind of like the 5K range, and then the saturation effect too, which works well in the genre. I think I do have oxide. Yeah, I do. Okay. There are some tonal changes happening here, but it's very tiny. So without getting too like in depth with it, just kind of reference what I was mentioning about the bass before of it adding more like bottom end, more sub lows, and then taking away some of the trebliness of the vocal. And then an LA2A, which is the free version. So the reason why I use the free version is because it adds a little bit more like warmth than the actual like paid version of LA2A. And I actually learned this from one of the producers that they work with who's that Ronnie guy? Fucking falling in verse.
Ronnie Radke?
So, yeah, okay. Very interesting guy. But anyway, his engineer talked about something like I thought that was very interesting. And his basically it was the paid versus free version. Sometimes free versions are a lot more like shittier, if you will, obviously because it's free. But they're typically more warmer or they're done in a shittier way. And I thought this was more like an artistic thing on my end. And that's why I chose this. And I'm pretty sure this is cranking the fuck out. Like this, it's actually not really. Sometimes, yeah, okay. So sometimes I like to absolutely crush the fuck out of vocals because they're not consistent. And there are like a lot of things in here like those parts that could come up.
Yeah.
And I'd usually crush the fuck out of it and obviously compensate with makeup gain. And you can do that with like obviously just like volume automation and stuff like that. But like sometimes it is for that effect. And because it is a slower compressor, you get that punchiness at the start of like the vocal. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Here's some de-essing. Be honest with you, probably didn't need it. So it's not even doing anything. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
It might have actually had some stuff because of the Verve analog. So it could be wrong. Here's some delay.
Yeah.
Naveed loves slapbacks, so I had to add this in there. It's
I
just
do love slap.
25 milliseconds with the feedback all the way down, and then obviously 50%. I went 55. Cluster delay. So
Yeah.
this is what I find interesting about this plugin is it actually has a ducker on it. So when the vocal, the dry signal, is like they're singing, it ducks the actual effect of the delay, and it gives it that space that it needs, right? And it
It's like a
also gives
built-in
you-
sidechain kind of thing.
pretty much, yeah, exactly. And sidechain's
Cool.
just to the input signal, the dry part. I also have
And
an
what
analog
plugin is
mode,
that? What delay plugin is that?
minimal audio. It's a cluster delay.
Minimal audio.
Yeah, this is probably one of my like favorite plugins for like delays and stuff like that in terms of like even sound design. And the cool thing is you have a scatter, and it just changes like some of the it adds like imperfections in like the left and right ear. So like certain delay parts, like you can kind of think of them in like sections of like when they delay them. So in this case, I'm in like what 1-2. So it's like you have like that 1-2 effect, and if you have it obviously in stereo, it's like you don't have that, but scatter basically will change the volume of it each way, so like it just
Oh wow.
has like cool like imperfection left and right ear. And you can also change the spread, so it adds obviously the Haas effect thing. It just changed the timing of the left and right ear. And then I think crossfeed, yeah, so you get some on time stuff and then off time stuff, and you get some pretty cool results with this as well. I just didn't do that for this song. I just thought the spacing, or sorry, the scatter part was like where I thought was best.
Right.
Valhalla plate, just a good plate reverb. That's just all I used it for, but it's adding obviously. And then auto pan. Auto pan is just panning it left and right. It's just very simple, which is cool. But the good thing about this plugin is you can use it as like a volume LFO. So if I turn this phase all the way down, turn the amount up, now it's an LFO tool for your volume.
Oh, that's
anyway.
sick.
So all it's doing is just changing the volume of like the left and right ear, going like this.
Yeah.
2 bars. Simple. The dub is the exact same thing, and the ooze have a chorus that I don't fucking pay for anymore. So that'd have been nice. But this is what it sounds like altogether. And then if I zero everything, this is what it just sounds like. Dry. That's it. But yeah, that's this is like more of like the creative mixing part that I go by. And if a producer sends me something that I don't necessarily like, I'll redo the effect, but in like my own way. Which honestly,
What you saying, bro?
for these ones, I actually didn't even listen to like what Naveed sent in terms of the wet stems. I just did the dry ones and figured that he'd like the cool like slapbackness of what I did, and no
The
complaints.
delays really carry that part. And you know what's crazy, dude? David recorded this part on his iPhone.
Yep. He actually no. What he used? He used his AirPod microphone.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it's not even just on
That's
his like thing. He's just like sitting there like
Not even on his
this
iPhone.
with his
Yeah.
AirPods, whatever, and he's just singing right into it. His entire
Yeah,
song, I could
crazy.
tell, but like it sounds pretty good. Like I barely have any
Yeah.
EQ on anything, so
Yeah.
can't complain.
I think we used a RE320 for like all the vocals.
Right.
And maybe a TLM 414 for some of the leads, maybe.
Yeah, but like for those like these bridge ooze, and then I think he did a double that is also done on his like thing. It's AirPods. Something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And I like using different microphone sources for different parts. It just gives it like that much. What the hell is that?
That is one of the effects on the vocal. That's funny.
But yeah, I like using different microphones. It just gives it like that little bit of flavor variation,
Yeah.
It makes it different.
Yo, hold on. I gotta take a piss. Guys, I have broken the seal. Okay, so Naveed,
Yes.
where did you learn how to play guitar? Or I guess not where, but I guess like you could say what got you started.
So I played piano as a kid, and that's how I learned how to play guitar. No, I'm kidding. So I took piano lessons at like at the age of like 10, I think I started, and really loved it. Really had a good time with it. And then I kind of like played on and off throughout my life. And then in high school, I played saxophone in 6th grade band or middle school. In middle school, I played saxophone. And I loved it, dude. I fucking love saxophone. Maybe one of these days I'll pick up saxophone again. But my band teacher kicked me out because because I always played Careless Whisper in thrift shop. And like when I was in 6th grade, thrift shop just came out. So like it was like everyone was like hype about it. You know, everyone was like, "Oh, can you play thrift shop? Oh, can you?" And like we had like a day where we had like some of the older band students come in and like teach the younger kids. And I remember this guy, he played tenor sax. And and I was like, "What the hell? What is it? Like this is a different they have different saxophones?" And because in 6th grade they all the saxophones were just alto. And um and so he like taught he was like, yeah, I remember he asked me, he was like, do you want to learn how to play thrift shop? And I was like, yes, absolutely, like 100%. And then yeah, I learned how to play thrift shop, and then I learned how to play the fucking and so my band teacher hated me, like he was not fucking with me. And I loved band so much. Like I put band as all my electives. I tried out for like jazz band. I tried out for symphonic band. I tried out for like all the like. I just loved it. I was head over heels with it. And next year, I don't know what he said or what he did. I didn't get banned. Like I didn't. And for the rest of my like school life, I wasn't in band at all. And then I didn't pick up guitar until senior year of high school. And that was when I was 17, and I was just at my friend's house, and he had a guitar. And I remember I was like, you know what? Let's give it a little go. And I learned the Gorillaz Feel Good Inc. by ear, and I was like the like the bass line, the boom 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 boom. And I learned that by ear, and I was like, and then I kind of like I was like, Mom, I need to buy a guitar. And then I just got obsessed, and I was just learning like Green Day songs, Nirvana songs. That was kind of like the vibe for like all the beginning of like my guitar journey. And then I started getting into like neo soul, R&B stuff once I started like learning more stuff. And when I was first playing guitar, I was practicing like 6 to 8 hours a day. And then nowadays I try to get at least 2 hours a day, at least, you know. And like my goal was just kind of be a gigging guitarist. Like I just wanted to gig and tour and stuff. And then it wasn't until I started like using Logic more and like kind of trying to put together beats a little more when I like was like, okay, actually what I want to do is produce, you know. Because living in Vegas, like all the gigs out there are just cover gigs, and it's a little soul sucking, you know. And I think that was kind of what made me realize like this is not what I want to do. And I have a lot of friends in Vegas who are like in the cover gig scene, and they're just miserable, you know. They're just like they're not having a good time with it. And so like production kind of became the forefront, and that's because like with production you create your own gigs, you know. It's like you you work with an artist, and if they blow up one day, then it's like then you have a sick gig, you know. And it's like I just feel like it's more, not that I'm doing money for not that I'm doing music not that I'm doing money for music, not that I'm doing music for money, but I feel like production is more lucrative than being a guitar player, because just being a guitar player is a hustle and a half, you know. I'm a big not so much anymore, but when I was first starting playing, I was a big John Mayer fan. And there was this I still love John Mayer. Like he's incredible. Like he's definitely one of the greatest guitarists of our generation. No doubt, you know. And I was watching this it was like one of his documentaries, and he went to Berkeley, and he was talking about how he went to Berkeley and his goal was to become the best guitar player. And then he went to Berkeley and saw all these amazing guitar players, and saw like like everyone's ripping, and then he went home for Christmas break, and he was like, "What does that even mean, being the best guitar player?" And like that really stood out for me because I was like, okay, like no one gives a fuck about shredding, no one cares about shredding. People are attached to songs. The reason people love artists that they love is because they love their songs, their songs speak to them on some level that like they really resonate with. And so like production became the forefront um because I just realized like no one gives a fuck about shredding. But I am very glad that like guitar is my main thing because I feel like that kind of separates me from a lot of producers. Like the fact that I can shred is really nice, So it's like if it ever does come up with an artist that I'm working with where it's like they do want a solo or they do want more like guitar oriented stuff, which is like usually the clients I'm getting because that's what I can do, yeah, that's kind of like the whole thing. How I learned guitar was more so through YouTube. And then I had a few teachers in Vegas. One guy, Jake Shepard, he's a ripping country guitar player, which is funny because I don't really play country at all. And then this other guy, Sean Carbone, who plays everything. Like he plays all kinds of stuff, but he's a really good fusion player and jazz player. And yeah, I took some lessons with them. And so yeah, everything has just been like school of hard knocks as opposed to like going to an actual school for music. I'm very anti-music school. I think it's very pointless and I'm very anti-music school, but yeah.
Dude, absolutely. I fucking anytime pretty much all my buddies go to music school, and I'm like, why? Just why?
Yeah.
Why? I
It's
don't
like
get
just
it.
do it.
Like
Like
they're such good music. Like they do have access to like pretty cool studios and stuff like that. But I'm like,
100%.
come on, man.
And
Like,
connections too. Like you do get connections from school sometimes,
yeah, yeah.
give or take.
But I don't know. A lot of even my friends at home went to music school. I'm like, you guys are making the wrong mistake, man. Like, or doing the wrong thing. I meant, but like all the stuff that I learned was at home, and I do have a lot of people ask me like, oh, did you go to school for like music or engineering or that kind of stuff? I'm like, nope. And I think that the people who do, sometimes they do walk out and they are pretty good at what they do, but I learned at home and I'm still learning at home. I'm
Yeah.
on my own and shit like that, and I think I'm still doing pretty good. And it's kind of to a point where like people are starting to come to me and they're like asking me like, how did you do that? Here, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'm also very much against like gatekeeping information behind a
100%.
paywall. Like I like to do things for free. If you just want to like call and be like, yo, I want to know how you did this part on this song. Okay, sure, I'll break it down for you. You're not going to get the same result as me, but you're going to have like kind of an aspect of how to do it. And because so many mix engineers would rather make money off of like, a breakdown of like Sabrina Carpenter's song rather than just giving it for free. It's like, it's just a cash grab. I get people have to make money, but like, come on. Like, I just want to know what the fuck the song sounded like before the initial song. Like Lizzie McAlpine, she gave out a lot of her stuff for free. Like even the breakdown of pushing it down prank. Who knew that the fucking main guitar was going to be recorded on guitar and vocals recorded on an iPhone?
An iPhone. The first moment she wrote the song,
Literally.
laying on her bed.
Exactly.
When she's talking, when one of the lyrics are like, "I'm in bed," and that's like kind of going back to what we were talking about, like that rawness, like what feeling are you going for? And like I think what was interesting about that was when they were talking about that song, like when she went into the studio, she was like, "Okay, what are we gonna do with this?" Like she was expecting to re-record it, and everyone that she was working with was like, "Nope, let's just use this."
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something to that.
It's all about feeling, but yeah. So
To add on to that,
but yeah.
also I think there's something to be said for people who figure stuff out on their own. You learn it a different way as opposed to like learning something from someone teaching you something. When you have to figure out something on your own, you develop new ways to get there. And like there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat kind of saying, like there goes so much for music. Like there's so many ways to achieve one thing, but like everything every like different way gives you a different sound. Like they all have different feelings, and I think there's something very powerful to someone who's like paving their own way and just kind of like doing their own thing and just kind of learning as you go, you know, and just learning through whatever resources we have, which is a lot because of YouTube nowadays, and like Tape Notes podcasts, like that. I love that thing, you know, like I've learned so much just from Tape Notes podcast, and all that stuff is stuff that music school would never teach you, you know.
Yeah,
And so it's like there's um something to be said for learning stuff your own way, you know.
absolutely. That's pretty cool. That is
Yeah.
true. Next question.
Amen.
Pretty good. I was warm.
Guitar solo processing.
Okay, you know what? I won't even show you guys just because it's this simple. I have a thing called SBL Twin Tube, and all it is doing is boosting like the 4 to 5 kilohertz range and dipping some of the mids. That's it, man. That's it. That's all I did on there. It's only one thing, just to open up the highs a bit more, and that was it. But down on that, it's part of the learning process. Sometimes you need to fuck up in order to learn. But next question.
Yeah.
Okay. I have synth talk down. What did you do with the synths? And I guess, yeah, I did branch out from there.
Okay, so the synths, there's only one synth in this whole entire song. Oh no, I lied.
There's-
So the main synth that's happening is this one here. I'll play it. And so that one is actually printed. So I actually made this song back when I had my old computer. And with that computer, my DSP was just like absolute dog shit. And so everything I did, I had to print. Like every synth plugin, every guitar, like everything I had to print. And so that's a print. I did use the UAD Polymax synth. I don't know what preset I used. But basically what's happening there is I'm just playing the chord, and then I'm using the LFO, and I set it to a quarter note, and then like wait, so it starts like wow, 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 wow. So I automate the LFO to open um like halfway through that, so the LFO happens. And one more thing is like I don't I don't punch it in. Like I don't go on Logic and go like, okay, at this part I want the LFO to start oscillating at quarter notes, you know? I don't do that. I do it manually. Cause I feel like there's something that happens when you like manually do it. Cause it's like if you were to manually do it off time, it wouldn't sound good, you know? So there is like those little discrepancies. And I think there's that makes the sound is when you manually turn the knob. So Logic has this cool feature where you could just set it to what you want to automate, and then you set it to touch, and then you can literally play the song and then automate whatever you want on there. I'm sure Ableton has this too. And so basically, can you see the UAD plugin at all?
I unfortunately cannot,
can't.
but let's just
Yeah, no, it's okay.
let's
Yeah.
visualize
But
it
yeah,
in
I
our
just
heads.
visualize it. Yeah, look it up if you want it that bad. Jeez. And then yeah, I just kind of like automated it, pulled it back for like when the chord resets. So it's basically like it's going for the whole chord. Halfway through that measure is when I start that oscillator. And then that's like the main synth that's going in and out there. So there's not really a lot of synths until we get to that B section. Oh, and then there's these guys. Okay, let's see what these are. I don't even remember. It's been a minute. And so what I'm doing for those ones, there's a lot of automation happening. Unfortunately, these are printed and I can't show you everything I did. But what I'm automating in there is one, the LFO time, two, the LFO rate. So like halfway through, I think it changes like 3 or 4 times. It goes from like a quarter note to a eighth note to a 16th note to like a 32nd note at the very end there, and then it hits the slowdown thing. And so I'm automating that, and then I'm also automating the filter cutoff and just making it open as the chorus progresses. And so those synths are only happening in the chorus, and it's 2 different tones. So I'll play one of them. I'll play them each separately. So two very different vibes, and I love like putting synths together, making different sounds, because then you create your own sound. One synth is kind of very straightforward, and then like kind of very straightforward, just chords doing the thing, and then the other one is doing the rhythmic stuff, and so yeah, that's kind of the vibe for that. And then once we get to the bridge section. So the first thing that happens in this bridge section is, let's see. I didn't print this. Let's go. Okay, cool. So the bass that happens in the bridge section, what that is a Polymax synth, and it is the ARP daemon setting. And I have the arpeggiator set to 16th notes, it looks like. And then the LFO rate is set to 18th note eighth note triplets. So it's buttable, 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 buttable. And it's a very off kilter feeling, it's a very wobbly feeling. And that's the first synth that comes in, and that sounds like this. And then the rest, it looks like it's guitars. And yeah, actually, I don't have any other synths going on in that section, which is surprising. The rest is just guitars. I'll play those guitars. And then so on those guitars, this one is doing I didn't print it. Let's go. So this one is doing, all I'm playing on that guitar is ba da da ba da da. But I have a delay set to, so this is a archetype Mateus Asato from Neural DSP, cracked, absolutely cracked. I have a delay set to a half note, and then on here it has a really good tape echo. And I have the tape drive set up all the way, and then the tape mod pretty high as well. So that's why the second time that riff happens, like the da da do da da do, the second time I'm not playing it, but the delay is doing that, and it's very decayed, and it has that like kind of fucked up sound. And yeah, that's that guitar. And then I'm also automating. Let's see if we can see it here actually. Yeah, so you can see all this. So that's where I get those laser noises from, is the delay. I automate the delay. So I wish you could see the plugin, because if I played it, you can see the knob turning in real time. But yeah, that's where all those laser noises are coming from. I'll play that real quick. and it's kind of that balance of order and chaos where it's like I'm trying to do it in time here, right? Like I'm trying to get these to kind of be on grid a little bit, but they're not, obviously they're not perfectly in time because I just did it with my hands. And it's like the chaos is like that's a crazy sound, they're like laser sounds. But the order is like I'm trying to oscillate them in time. So it's like boom, boom, boom. And it looks like I also did the echo feedback automation, which was interesting. I'm sure I had a reason for that at the time. Um, not too sure what I was doing there. And yeah, that's pretty much that's that. That's those guitars. And then yeah, so this song only has 3 synths actually.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
That's pretty cool though. But like the thing is, like your guitars do sound like synths. Like at least the delay parts. I'm gonna show you guys something interesting. Okay, like I know this is like completely out of like the context of everything. But I use Serum 2 for all my sound design stuff, and that guitar, that like the delay part that sounds all like fucked up.
yeah.
It unironically sounds like it sounds like if you modulate noise to a sine, or sorry, a sawtooth. So if I go here and I modulate this, it kind of sounds like that. But like filtered and stuff like that and delayed. So it's kind of sounding like that. And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I'm a
that's what I
big fan
thought.
of like
I thought you did
I'm a
some
big
great.
fan of like synthy guitar tones. Like I
Yeah.
love guitar tones that kind of sound like a synth.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
pretty
over the
cool.
Chloe's Daughter album.
Something interesting though, like when I first started talking with you and we first started like doing our, like commissioning essentially,
Mhm.
you did, I think it was your first song that you sent to me was with David. It was
Yeah, The Harvest.
Harvest. And that one, even though you were only producing for like a short manner of time, like I was still pretty impressed with like the production and stuff like that.
Hmm.
The
Yeah, that was pretty
guitars,
early.
man, like it's the same. Like I was impressed because like I thought I was like pretty good with like at least like guitars and like processing them and stuff. I'm like, man, I gotta step up my game. Like these are pretty fucking cool, like all the delay stuff that you do and like the reverbs. And I was just like, man, like there's so much like you have to consider. And I guess it comes down to like knowing your tools and stuff like that. Like you can't just like slap your guitar through a pedal and hope it sounds good. You have to know the fucking distortions that you use and the reverbs and the delay, all that kind of stuff matters, right? So
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cool
yeah.
nonetheless. Like
Oh yeah.
achieving that professional sound, is like very important, like because so many
In the
people.
box, especially.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like in one plugin. Awesome.
yeah,
Like so many people try that and they fail miserably, and that's okay. It's part of the learning process. But it's like, how can I make this like $200 guitar sound like $1,000 guitar? And you can do it with simple like amp emulation. Like it is
yeah.
possible.
Yeah,
You
like
know.
you're saying, like, oh, this is dope and stuff, and like, but I really owe it all to like Neural DSP, and like, obviously, I did a lot of stuff like finding tones, and I've heard people play me their music that they've made with Neural DSP, and it sounds awful. So it's like just because you have the tool doesn't mean like you're gonna get that product. But like I've spent a lot of time recording and working with this plugin and I kind of know the ins and outs of it now. And it's like, yeah, you got to know your tools and stuff. But that being said, they do a lot of the heavy lifting. It's like it's so hard to get a bad sound on this plugin.
It is pretty
Yeah.
impressive though. Like I use Guitar Rig, and like another
Yeah.
engineer pointed me to like one of their free stuff that they use, and I still like I just couldn't figure it out. And yeah, it's just kind of have to fuck with shit. Sometimes the preset sets you in the right direction. I try to create the tones myself.
Yeah.
I've been liking a lot of the Chicago type style that Guitar Rig has.
Hmm.
And yeah, I get some pretty cool results. I like even recreated one of the stuff that one of the guitarists on Lizzie McAlpine's like producer side, like what the
Hmm.
fuck's his name again? For anyway, sorry.
Mason Stoops.
Yeah, Mason Stoops. Okay, so
Yeah.
he basically does like he has his guitar amp where he has two different speakers on the left and right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I recreated that with guitar rig, and it is just the greatest thing ever. You know, it's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
cool.
I bet.
And even
Yeah.
if you collapse into mono, you get a cool guitar tune. So it's not even just for the stereo field. It's like pretty
Mhm.
cool for just matching two tones. So
Yeah. What's this thing that he does again? He gets two amps and then he sets the microphones different places from each other, so it's like different. So you get like a slapback effect.
so I think he yeah. So I think he does that, but also he has a dual 16, I think, or 12, dual
Hmm.
12, and then he switched out the amp speaker on one and then replaced it with another one that's more expensive or cheaper, and they have two different tones. This one's more trebly and this one's more warm, and when you pan them left and right you get like a crazy fucking cool tone.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you think of it this way, stereo guitars if not doubled, it is coming from the different tonalities of the left and right ear. So if you change something tonally, even though they're the same signal in the left ear, it's gonna sound stereo.
Yeah. And like I said, like guitar is one of my main things. So it's like I really want guitars to kind of shine in my production, and I think that's what sets me aside from other producers is the fact that I have these like guitar moments, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
All
cool. I
right,
mean, like
next
you
one.
have like electronic producers that reached out to you and like stuff like that, which is a completely different field than what you work in. So I mean, it just shows like
Yeah,
you have the diversity to do it. So
dope.
cool
Dope.
stuff.
Thanks, man. Hell yeah. All right,
Shit.
next guy. All right, the bridge section. When it goes, so starting after that second chorus, and I guess until the guitar solo, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in there. Let's just unpack that whole thing. So yeah, I got it started with that bass synth, and then yeah, and then I did a bunch of other shit. Bro, I'm fucking feeling this shit.
Yeah, dude. I'm like
I'm really trying to pull it together. I'm just like
I'm trying to make sense, which is not normal. Like, oh god.
What else do we add in there? I got the Morgan Freeman voice. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, the Morgan Freeman voice, I got a lot of cool stuff going
Yeah, I was
on. I
gonna
don't know
say
if
you
I.
have some cool delays on there. I'd like to see.
Yes. I did the same thing. So it looks like I pitch shifted it. I used the reverb. I did some reverb automation, and then I did some delay feedback, and then also some like delay laser sounds. I'll play that.
There's not a day goes by. Not because I'm in here, because stupid kid. This old man is old.
Yeah, lots of weird sounds, lots of weird things happening. Um, Morgan Freeman for the win, baby. And that was kind of also like I didn't want to get copyrighted, so I made it sound weird, you know. Not that I'm like popular
Yeah.
enough to get copyrighted.
So
But
one of the artists I listened to, I mean, you probably heard of him, Zillennium. He did something like that on the intro of his album Ascend, and it's called
mhm.
I Care. And then he did an interlude, and it was Angel, and it was Robin Williams and Goodwill Hunting.
Oh, nice.
Fuck, Goodwill Hunting is such a good movie, but like he took it
Such
from
great.
there. I'm like, man, you know your shit, but that is a deep fucking quote. Like
Yeah.
when they're at the park and he's lecturing him after he's like talking shit about his wife and shit. And he's at the park and he's like, you didn't know anything about love, you know, and shit. And he's just lecturing him real hard. I'm like, man, like I seen that part. I'm like, Robin Williams, I could see why he's like the best fucking actor in the world, man. That was like
Yeah.
that hit deep. So I'm like, he used that quote and I'm like, I know where this is from, you know, like it was great. But
I love it when artists do that, when they take like something from a movie or like something from pop culture and put it into like a song, something that's not music and put it into a song, you know?
Yeah. So on my side of things, really, in this big I guess bridge section, I didn't really do too much. I did actually add thunder. Okay.
Yes, the
So
thunder.
I did add some thunder. So the whole idea of it was chaos.
Yes.
Naveed wasn't looking for like anything perfect, so I'm like, hey, fuck it, I'll add some thunder. But this came from an electronic producer that I know of, and he goes by Blank. Pretty fucking great producer, but he has like this like OST type of thunder that just has like a infinite delay of it, so just repeats, but it works together. It adds to the chaos, so it was very much of an artistic decision. And then the bass, I do have reverb on it.
Oh.
So the automations here are the big room one, and then I have utility. So there's a few automations happening here. The frequency of the auto filter is opening up. Yeah, so I filtered it here because it opened it sense. And it goes gone there. So this was more of a brave move on my end, but also like an artistic vision, to add to the artistic vision. So like, even though I wasn't sure Naveed would like this, it added to the whole like point of the song, So I'm like, I heard this part, and it sounded like this before. It just didn't cut it for me. And as an engineer, I feel like I should make these decisions, but I thought it would add to what Naveed was looking for. So instead of just leaving it, I do have R-Bass on here that's just adding more harmonics and stuff, but I added the filter with some drive. It's MS2, and it's just opening up as you go along the song, but it adds that nice warmth. And then it disappears as it goes through, because if it was not disappearing, it would sound like this. Not it. When it goes gone, like when it disappears, it's like it's Morgan Freeman. Then the guitar solo. So it's building that.
It disappears right when that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just building like that tension that you're feeling. So again, it wasn't my decision, or sorry, it was my decision, but it was one that was hoping that Naveed would lean into it, and he liked it. So that's another thing too, I think is really important, is like, if you're an engineer, and you're just strictly an engineer, learning production is also really good too, because you are going to learn things on the aspect of engineers. And like my alias Kingdom, I do electronic music, and my Tyson and I one, I do folk, very drastically different. Like I do stuff like Naveed, but then I also work on fucking like dubstep. Like,
Yeah.
it's good to have that range. So it kind of just shows like, okay, like, even though like Naveed is the producer, I am the second producer that's kind of finishing off those things.
Kind of like final touches production. Yeah.
Yeah, and then doing the mix things that I should be doing, and then the mastering things that I should be doing. So it's benefiting both of us, but also specifically Naveed too, because it's like now a song sounds more cohesive on the production side of things that he may have just missed, or like a lot of the stuff that I get are like older versions of what he's done in like, it could have been like months ago or years ago, so those things add to the vision that he's going for. Could have, it goes further, but essentially it's just a second bit of help. And again, knowing how to be an artist and a producer helps you along your learning journey, and trying to getting and helping other artists on the final result that you're looking for and they're looking for.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like that's also something that like a lot of mix engineers don't do. Like they're just not willing to like kind of hash it out with the producer, and like they just kind of want their rate. They take their rate and just kind of like do the thing, you know? And it's like that's why I really like working with you, is because you're willing to like hash it out, and we bounce ideas back and forth, and we like get the song to a place that I really love, you know? And like that's with everyone that I've worked with you, and it's like we always figure it out, you know. And like that's another thing, like you always tell me like, oh, add this, oh, do this, you know. And it's like that's not something that a lot of engineers do, you know. It's like they'll, at the end of the day, they're just going to take their check and just do their job, you know. It's
yeah.
like going above and beyond is like what's going to separate you from the rest, you know.
And I think that's something interesting is I always bring it up. I'm for the artist's vision. And even though if they don't see that vision initially, it's like, okay, I'm the second ear here, right? If you
Hmm.
work with a client, I am the second ear, and I am going to give suggestions to Naveed because he is the producer. And if he approves of it, then he approves of it. But if he disregards it, then he disregards it. It's just how it is, you know. And like
Yeah.
it's good to be an engineer and mention those things because it ultimately benefits both of you guys. Because then that means, hey, you now have a good song, you know. And
Yeah.
I work with some people that rejected down my my ideas, and that's fine. You know, that's just how it is. You know, that's how they want their song to be. Sometimes it's not your place to say that, but it is good to make your opinion stand out because again, you are the second listener, and you are allowed to have an opinion on a song and feel like if this can improve in this area, it'll ultimately benefit both of you guys at the end.
Yeah, and you shouldn't feel apprehensive about sharing that, you know. And like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like maybe a lot of engineers have said that, and then they get a negative reaction from the producer, or the producer gets like defensive or something, and they're like, "You know what? I'm just not gonna mess with it anymore,"
Yeah.
you know. And like
And then
that's valid too, you know.
it also comes down to like the relationship you have with your producers and vocalists and all that kind of stuff. Like, like I would consider Naveed a friend, but at the end of the day, like business is business. But he is still looking for my opinion at the end of the day for a song. He's looking to improve. I have the tools and the knowledge to help him improve, and that's how it is. So
Yeah.
that's that's just the reality of it. Just don't be a dick. Like
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
we're all
Yeah,
here to
it's
help each other.
crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I think like the first song that we worked on, you like asked me to you asked me to like quad track the acoustic guitars. And
Yeah,
that was like a concept that was so foreign to me. I've
yeah,
never heard of that in my life, you know. And now I like quad track a lot of stuff.
yeah.
But like that was a concept to like that was so foreign to me, and I was like, all right, he probably knows what he's talking about. Let's
Mm.
do it, you know? And like and then when I sent it to you, like no questions asked, you were like surprised that I did. And I'm like, that's so crazy. I can't get that through my mind that people like will pay a mixing engineer, like pay someone to like help them finish their song, and not be open to suggestions and not be open to like them making their song better. And it's like it's just such a crazy like mentality to have to me. It's like, don't you want to keep growing? Don't you like want to keep being a student, you know? And it's yeah, it's just wild to me.
Yep. I feel it, man. I've worked with a lot of people who unfortunately did not see the vision, and it is what
Yeah.
it is, though. But
Yeah.
it's good to again surround yourself with like-minded people.
Mhm.
And if you are working with somebody that is not like, I guess, like listening to any of your suggestion, that's fine. It's just how it is. People are
Mhm.
people are have their own vision at the end of the day as well. Like usually with my music, like if people tell me not or tell me to do something different, like I will usually follow it or I'll consider it. Like there is that,
Mhm.
but
At
being
least consider
constructive
it,
about it.
bare minimum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, like working with Naveed helped me as an engineer as well because I was also getting in the genre and wanting to get in this genre for like engineering reasons, and it helped like he's reached out to other people for me and stuff like that. So, and vice versa, it works both ways. So it's helped me in terms of mixing and then also learning, like I see things that Naveed does and I carry on that too. Another thing
Mhm.
too, constantly calling your client, being on call with them, having that close relationship with them, and then like going over the song via stream, like even in like the situation that we have here. So it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like it's funny because Noor, Clover's daughter, gotta plug Clover's daughter. Um, she um she was telling me one night, she was like, I hate the word client. And I was like, why? I was like, it's so like it's just like something to describe something. And she's like, because it just feels so impersonal. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I could see how that feels impersonal. Like the word client is impersonal, you know? And but like it made me think. I was like, okay, like what I'm doing, production, like what I'm doing working for an artist, helping them like achieve their vision, helping them bring their vision to life, that like yes they're a client, you know, but like it is absolutely necessary and vital that we have a friendship and some kind of relationship where they can confide in me, I can confide in them. And because like I think like clients in every other field, it's like yeah, you don't want a super personal relationship, but music is so different because it's like music art imitates life, you know. So it's like you need I think in my opinion, if you don't have that personal connection and you don't take time to get to know someone and you don't take time to like ask them questions about themselves, you're not going to make good music with them, you know? And it's like and like it kind of made me think when she was like I hate the word client. I was like, yeah, like that's like music is one of the very few things where it's like you need a personal relationship to make great music, you know? And it's like it's so important and such a firm believer in that, and everyone that I work with I try to get close with, you know. I try to like learn more about them, learn what makes them tick, you know, everything.
Absolutely. Totally
Yeah.
agree.
Okay. So I want to talk about this chorus a little bit. So these guitars here, I ended up adding in like after Tyson finished it. Tyson was like, I was like, okay, yeah, we're done. And then I was like taking a walk and I was listening to the song and I was like, ah, it needs something else. So I'll play those guitars. They only happen in the chorus. And then so I'll play the chorus with those and then I'll play the chorus without those and just see how much of a difference that makes. So yeah, it just adds that atmosphere. And that was kind of like a last minute call thing, you know. And that it made such a difference for the song.
Pretty cool. Yeah, I'm very adamant about making sure that your productions are done 100%, but that benefited it, so I wasn't even mad.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I felt so bad too because I was like, all right, guys, we're done. And then I was like, actually, we're not done. But yeah, no, yeah, it's
yeah, it was
crazy
good.
stuff,
Yeah,
dude.
anything.
This was fun. This was
Yeah,
fun
it
as
was
hell.
great. Another thing to add though, but like mixing this project, like any engineer could probably put their own spin to it, but at the end of the day, like making sure that you're someone that you're working with, like kind of knowing like what you do. Like Naveed wouldn't have ever asked me to work on this if he knew that I didn't know like how to make alternate genre sound the way it does. Now this is my spin of it. Like, I mean, I could be doing everything wrong in terms of engineering, you know, like, I mean, a lot of my EQs are something that you'll probably never see in a lot of other projects, but like, that's because they have good sources, you know, like, So the way I interpreted these drums, this bass is something that you might not do. You know, sometimes people would barely even touch the project, you know, but again, at the end of the day, this is what Naveed wanted, you know, and also what I agree with, right? So, you know, the song is like, even the mastering chain, you know, like I'm pretty sure I'm hitting like oh, it crashed on me. But anyway, so it's hitting -7 LUFS, which is like pretty damn loud. So
Yeah.
but
Good timing to crash, bro.
yeah, actually, we're pretty much done. My
Really good.
my Pro L decided to fucking kill itself. So
That's what killed it. Yeah, that's what fucking killed it.
they're bought too, like they're official. I just need to update them.
Get him more work. He's good at what he does. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. If you're listening, probably no one made it this far, but but thank you if you did. Feel free to reach us on social medias. I'll leave it in the description here. And yeah, deuces.
Pieces.